if his security team can't manage him, the wife, and the kids coming to the UK, he is more than welcome to give me a call.
Well, that's a nice offer. If Meghan,
I'll be
Archie,
very
and
expensive though,
yeah.
Kinsey, for
Oh.
them.
Hi, everyone. Kinsey Schofield here. Joining me today is one of the world's leading security and threat assessment experts. Will Geddes, you are a fan favorite here. You have more than 30 years of experience in specialist security, counterterrorism, and high risk protection. You've advised clients around the world on some of the most complex security challenges imaginable. And one of the last times you joined us, you accurately predicted that Prince Harry would lose his battle to restore his automatic taxpayer funded police protection in the UK. Now, just days before Harry's expected return to Britain, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, aka RAVEC, has reportedly declined requests for additional security for this trip, throwing into question whether Meghan Markle, Archie, and Lili will make the trip after all. Today, we're going to examine whether Harry has any realistic options left, and from a security expert's perspective, whether the UK is truly unsafe for his family, or if this has become a debate over the level of protection Harry believes he should receive. So thank you so much for being here. You know, I value your opinion immensely.
Kinsey, I always love being on your show, and I love your viewers and your followers. Always so generous and kind in the comments. Um, yeah, I mean, wow, there's lots to unpack here, but it's the typical Harry and Meghan show, isn't it? They're obviously putting their heads above the parapet. We're ever so important. We need the red carpet rolled out. I can tell you probably, and I'm sure got far more qualified guests who are going to tell you this, Kinsey. Um, the bunting isn't going to be hung out for their return. I don't think many people are going to be really that interested or care if they return, whether it be Harry on his own or whether he brings Meghan and the entourage.
That's right. I did. I was asked yesterday, and I wish I would have been more on the money with it, but I wasn't prepared for the question. Um, I had a host say, "Well, Taylor Swift got it. Why does Taylor Swift get it and Prince Harry?" And of course, I think because Harry's not a serious person. Like Succession's one of my favorite shows, and when
Yeah.
Logan Roy says to his children, "You're not serious people," that's how I feel about Prince Harry. So of course, I'm like, "Well, Todger." Like he brings up his Todger everywhere. So he doesn't compare to Taylor Swift, who brought in millions of dollars in revenue to the city of London, to the United K in general. Has a special relationship with the royal family. We should mention Prince William's shake it off moves, I think, are worth the special privileges security wise. But Will, realistically, she'd had to cancel some shows right before her London show because there were serious terror threats, not to mention the Ariana Grande actual terror attack. So
Yeah.
there are legitimate reasons why someone like Taylor Swift would have security privileges that Prince Harry wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple of people who are on Taylor's team, and they're very serious security guys. And she's got a very capable, very good team. There's a few A-list Hollywooders who have them, some of which I provide maybe. And in terms of obviously what Taylor required, she is a very prominent individual. And the Ariana Grande is a fantastic comparable example because obviously the Manchester Arena bombing in 2017 by Salman Abedi was a horrific attack against not against Taylor necessarily, but against her audience, and many children died in that horrific suicide attack. So when we look at Harry and Meghan, we can't put them in the same category. And when it comes to the Metropolitan Police providing support, yes, they will provide support on occasions. I've had some A-listers who've come into the country. I've lent over to the to friends of mine in the Metropolitan Police and said, "Look, guys, can we work together? Because ultimately we're creating a safe environment, and that's really where it's only justified." So, if you've got a top name band or actor who's coming or actress that's coming into London, and that in itself is going to cause real turmoil in amongst fans, obsessives, stalkers, all sorts of people like that, then ultimately, yes, the Metropolitan Police will work with you because they don't want there to be any collateral impact. So if we're moving them quickly from location A to location B, which could be, it could be their hotel, moving them to a chat show, for example, then the Metropolitan Police may assist in that instance. But there has to be very, very good reasoning for it. For Harry and Meghan, they just don't have the same celebrity status. They simply don't. And their arrival in the country, pretty much as I was saying earlier, won't be at any fanfare. Nobody's really going to be that interested. They'll come into the country, go along to a couple of events, probably show their faces, glower in front of the camera or smile sycophantically in front of the camera, and that'll be it. They'll be gone. The security that they have, as I've always said to you, Kinsey, will be the bubble of the royal family. So as long as they're with the royal family, yes, they'll have that heightened level of sovereign security and safety. But outside of that, no, they won't.
Right, right. Well, you recently, we had this conversation here a few weeks ago. Maybe it wasn't the last time, but I certainly remember you saying that Harry would lose this security battle. It's my understanding, according to The Sun, that when we initially spoke about this, we talked about RAVEC agreeing to a new review. The Sun says that RAVEC didn't even waste their time with a new review. Does that surprise you that they were like, well, that we were told something that actually never came to fruition? And does the latest RAVEC decision confirm that nothing has materially changed since the court ruling that he was so fired up about, that rejection?
Okay, I'll unpack both your questions, Kinsey, as
Sorry.
best I can. No. Great questions. The first question, obviously, about there being a necessity or the review being required to be done again. Well, firstly, I'm sure there was a partial sort of trepidatious approach to a second review, but that would have probably been based on current intelligence. And that would have been intelligence provided both by MI5 and MI6 to see if there had been any amplification of threat, obviously, against Harry or Meghan. And as soon as they would find out that there's nothing notable on their radar, no intelligence that's coming in to construe that there would be anything serious in terms of a threat against them, over and beyond just being people in the public eye, then there's every good likelihood they'd say, you know what, why are we going to bother going through the rest of that process if we haven't got the origins and foundation from which to necessitate doing an actual full review? The second part, I'll try and remember what the question was.
Does their decision confirm that nothing has materially changed
yeah,
since the court
yeah.
ruling?
Yeah, pretty much. So it really comes down to that second point, Kinsey. Nothing has materially changed. And I know certainly because I do read the comments from some of your viewers, a few people have said, oh, they're looking to get IPP status. They won't even get that because IPP status is really only attributed to ambassadors and to really prominent
But wait, I
emissaries
want to
for the
say to you,
country.
because I was thinking
Yeah.
about this while I was doing my eyelashes for you. Don't you think in Harry doing random trips to Ukraine, speeches going against Trump and Putin, his article in the Great Statesman or whatever it was about anti-Semitism, is he not? And I'm wondering if it's solely to get this type of security. Is he not trying to petition himself as a more serious individual, as an ambassador, as a thought leader in some of his latest activities?
That's a very, very astute observation, Kinsey, and it's one that not many people actually see. But those of us who are at the service end, and we are just mere service providers, have seen a number of times where the principal will dab their fingers into the fire. And trips to Ukraine is a great example. So what they'll try and do is they'll go, look, I am a risk. That people are out to get me. There is a threat against me. And I've seen this with principals who I've usually subsequently dropped, that they go and invite trouble and they try and provoke situations and reactions. Now, I know Ukraine. I've been down there. I've done a few operations, hence why I'm on the banned list for Russia. I won't be going to Russia anytime soon, or certainly for the foreseeable. And it may be something to do with that, may not be, who knows. But the long and the short of it is that a lot of the country is very, very safe. So there are
But
a number
also
of
Nigeria, Colombia, to your point, he puts himself
yeah.
at risk a lot.
Yeah, so again, Colombia, it's not too bad. Nigeria, on the other hand, yeah, there are some really serious risks down in Nigeria still. But again, depending on which particular city or region or district that you might be going to, but there are very endemic risks. But you're absolutely right. Those locations, Colombia, Nigeria, Ukraine, they're going to locations where there is a heightened risk and a heightened level of risk. So if something was to happen, so even if there was an IED, an improvised explosive device that detonated near him, maybe on the next block, maybe not specifically at him. It makes him look a bit more heroic, but it also makes him look potentially more connected to a directed threat against him, which would then play into RAVEC. But the guys at RAVEC, they're smarter than that, and they can see right through it, as have you, Kinsey.
Hey everyone, Kinsey Schofield here, and I want to tell you about today's sponsor. It's a total game changer, Peak's Liver Detox Protocol. You may not know it, but your liver handles a lot: energy, hormones, digestion, and even your mood. But with all the stress and toxins from everyday life, it needs some love. Forget harsh cleanses. Peak delivers gentle daily support inspired by traditional Chinese medicine. Their routine uses two simple blends. The first is a warming turmeric mix with cinnamon and black pepper, designed to help the body absorb it better and support the liver while calming inflammation. The second is a ginger and cinnamon blend that helps with blood flow, digestion, bloating, and immune support. The magic is how they work together to activate and flush for better digestion, stable energy, less brain fog, and that light, clear feeling. My energy is consistent, my skin is clear, and less bloating. That's Peak, where spirit meets science. Redefine your standard of health, secure 20% off your order, and begin your intentional wellness journey today at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. Thanks so much. I mean, I look at some of those actions and some of his statements, and I just think this is the same guy. I mean, you deal with entertainment individuals, celebrities, high profile people all the time. But this is the same guy that also wants to pretend to be the Hallmark prince on the late shows. Again, about the Todd. He wrote about his Todger in his book. Like, I don't think you can live in both worlds. It's like pick a lane, pick a
Pick a
lane.
lane.
Like, are
Yeah.
you going to be a thought leader? Are you going to change the social media landscape for the better? Or are you going to be an entertainer? Are you going to be the silly prince, Mr. Fun Time, Mr. Good Time? And it has felt to me like some of these more serious actions that he's taken over the last year have solely been, we always say like rebrand, rebrand. Well, how many times can this
Yeah.
man rebrand? But really, I think it's to try to convince people that he's worthy. He is as important as he wants people to think he is. And that, apologies if I accidentally ask you this question later in some other way, but how much of this is about a man's ego and hating this loss of security because it's a bruise to his ego, because it's not what his brother has. He wants a level that he used to have. This feels like a demotion, and it's hurt his little feelings.
I think this is only my speculation, Kinsey. I almost did start laughing when you said he wanted to represent himself as a thought leader, because I'm not sure there is a lot going on up there. So, whether there are a couple of thoughts that could be scratched together in that capacity, I don't know. I think this is more driven by Meghan.
Mm.
And I think you're absolutely right. And a lot of the viewers will be very smart in seeing certain celebrities changing their optics, changing their angles. One minute they're very serious, next minute they're very frivolous, next minute they're very facing to their audience and their fans. And I think that ultimately comes usually from their communications department, which says, you're dropping down on the popularity polls, and therefore you're not as relevant or current. So it's always about trying to remain current. And that's the biggest challenge for many celebrities. They're always trying to remain current and appealing to their audience. I think this is primarily driven by Meghan.
Mm.
I think Harry, to a certain extent, probably couldn't care less. I think Meghan is looking for the whole prestige, the whole pomp and circumstance, all the dressings that would come from association or being part of the royal family. And I think part of the reason why Harry hooked up with Meghan was because he wanted to escape all of those.
Mm,
But it's her that's insisting that for her brand and for her as never or whatever products that she's selling,
whatever.
um, whatever products, nobody's going to be buying them, and they're dropping off. That they've lost the podcast deal, they've lost the Netflix deal, they've lost so many deals. It's like, but we are approachable. We're just like you, and we're a normal person.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're not behaving like normal people, and everybody's seeing through that trick. And I think seeing before that. But I really do feel a little bit sorry for Harry because I think he's a little henpecked, and I
Yeah.
think it
Well,
is
that's
Meghan
true.
that is driving it. Yeah,
I come at you with two different questions based on that response because yes, I agree with you because she sat across from Oprah Winfrey and ignorantly either lied or there was a misunderstanding and said, my children aren't prince and princess, or my child isn't a prince because of his skin tone. No, your child isn't a prince because his grandfather isn't the king yet. That's how it naturally happens. So you're right. I do believe that she kicks her feet and stomps her feet and says, "This isn't fair. We need to have the things need to be equal. We're not getting things because they don't like me because I'm half black." Irrelevant, not true. I mean, I feel like we've proven 1,000 times that that's a lie, in my
yeah.
opinion. But I initially thought you were going to go in the direction of Princess Diana when you said that this is all about Meghan. I initially thought you were going to say he is disturbed and paranoid because of the death of his mom. He does bring this up quite a bit. Um, but you think it's more about optics and less about past trauma.
Yeah, I do. I do. And I can't say because I haven't sat down with Harry and talked it through with him. I think using the Diana example,
Which he
and I did,
does, which he does.
which he does, and he uses that as he was weaponized that in many ways to try and get his point across for enhanced levels of security and having rasped security. Did I mention that I'd met Diana twice?
I
She's
don't I don't know if you've told us that on the show. Will you go into that?
Yeah, she just absolutely charismatic woman. There are a few people that sometimes you meet and they're even more beautiful and even more charismatic in person than they
Mm-hmm.
are even on screen. But no, she was lovely. I met her. Yeah, the two long stories to tell, but she was charming and she
Well,
was
you'll
very,
have to come
very
back and do it because
friendly.
I know you've told me privately, but I think the audience would be curious to hear it too. So we'll put a bookmark on that because I
Yeah,
suspect I'm going to see you in a week in the UK when Harry's there
great,
to
great.
determine how everything has unfolded so far. But uh,
You'll have to meet the kids.
I
You
know
have to meet the
I
kids.
do. So tell me
Yeah.
about the
So
Diana
look, I
comparison.
think he's weaponized it. I think what he's doing is he's using it. They're really clutching at straws, the pair of them, because RAVEC is a very sensible, very grown-up organization. And the one thing you've always got to remember with RAVEC is that whatever decision they make, they are ultimately responsible for the consequences. So if they were to make a really poor decision, or they were to make a political decision or a personally influenced decision, ultimately, if something happened to the individual they were reviewing and then they denied the security for, it would come back and bite them in the backside pretty royally. So these guys will always err on the side of the caution. And I know that for a fact because I do know some people in that space. And I know, as I would, as a security professional, I will always hedge my bets wherever I possibly can to ensure I'm mitigating the risks against my principal. So RAVEC, for someone as still quite prevalent in the public eye as Prince Harry, to say, no, you don't need it, that tells us an awful lot. But that's not to say he won't have any security at all. He'll have his private security, plus he will have someone assigned to him from the Metropolitan Police who'll be working, providing any sovereign accessible intelligence or immediate intelligence that could be obviously relevant for him being in the country. And that will be a continual process whilst he's there. But ultimately, he'll have his own personal security team. And I think, as we've discussed before, there are quite a few former members of RASP who were actually part of his team who were looking after him when he was in the royal family.
They're
We know
good.
what it's like. We have
Yeah.
buddies who are still serving, and we talk to them and say, "Hey, what's the skinny on this situation?" And we work together to make sure everybody does well.
I'm sorry that I was looking at my phone while you were talking, but your comment about consequences, they're going to be careful. They're going to be responsible because they will have to be, they're going to have to take accountability if something happens. I want to
Yeah.
get your response on what Harry and Meghan have said in response to their denial, RAVEC's denial. A source close to Harry and Meghan accused the Home Office and the committee responsible for assessing their security of willfully creating conditions that are making it nearly impossible for them to move around Britain. How do you respond to that? I mean, it's a lot of finger pointing. We're experiencing a lot of blame. I mean, the idea that first, I have a couple of questions. I apologize. I do this to you every time. I throw five questions at you, and then I
Keep
watch
them
you have to
coming, Kinsey.
process
Keep
them
them
all.
coming. I'll just try and
A,
remember them.
you said a while ago that you felt that this specific trip would be rejected. How long do you think Harry has known that? And B, do you see this exclusive, this headline saying rejected from RAVEC? Now Meghan and the kids might not come as another publicity stunt, as another attempt, like we talked about in January or February, for Harry to manipulate a situation in his favor, trying to use the media.
Yeah, well, it won't work, any manipulation that he's trying to use, first and foremost.
Yes,
Secondly, have I used the word petulant and Harry in the same sentence before? I'm sure I have. Uh,
probably.
and and that kind of statement isn't going to make him any friends. It's not going to make any friends whatsoever. And I do say, and I have said there won't be any personal influence to any decision making that's going on. But if you're going to start throwing your toys out the pram and behaving like a spoiled brat, which is ultimately what he's doing, then they're going to be somewhat resistant to not going above and beyond in terms of facilitation that he may require. Now, him not being able to come to the UK with Meghan because of this decision by RAVEC is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Britain is, despite what people see on social media, not everybody's having their watches ripped off their wrists every 5 seconds. It's, as long as you have your wits about you and you have some situational awareness, there's every good chance you will never get into a situation whatsoever, or any more than you would do in any other major capital around the world.
Yes.
So his amplification of the risk to him and Meghan because of who they are is utter nonsense. Suffice to say, that's why RAVEC turned them down. So if they use this as a tool to say, or a prop to say, look, because of RAVEC's decision, my wife and children can't come to the United Kingdom. I mean, that really is quite pathetic because ultimately they could come. And if his security team can't manage him, the wife, and the kids coming to the UK, he is more than welcome to give me a call.
Well, that's a nice offer. If Meghan,
I'll be
Archie,
very expensive though,
yeah.
Kinsey, for
Oh,
that.
well, all they have to do is sell another book or TV show and they'll be able to afford you. If Meghan, Archie, and Lily ultimately don't come, would that be because of a genuine change in the security picture or because Harry has consistently said he doesn't believe the existing arrangements are sufficient? I mean, is he just being stubborn? Is he trying to prove a point? Is it emotional blackmail? I know a lot of people are probably have been screaming in the comments at us like this is cruel to do to King Charles, to say, to
Yeah, it
tease him
is.
with a
Yeah.
potential
Yeah.
visit to his grandchildren, and then when Harry doesn't get his way, rip the opportunity away.
Yeah, all of the above, all of the things that you said, Kinsey. It's a tool that he's using to try and leverage getting that security. So he's saying, I can't bring the grandchildren over to meet with their grandfather. I can't bring my wife over because we just don't feel safe. Uh, Despite what I just said a few moments ago,
Yeah.
I'm sure his security team have turned around and said, you know what, boss, we can take you. It's not a problem. We'll manage it. We'll coordinate with our old friends. We'll coordinate with the Met. We will have an advisor assigned to us. We can do it. We can manage this situation. It's not going to be a major issue. So I honestly believe, because I do believe he does have some good security people, but I think the problem that they have is that Meghan and Harry don't listen to them, and
Mm.
they're just going to be using it as leverage. And again, I think the palace is smart enough to see through their tricks and their somewhat childish tricks to try and leverage getting that or obtaining that security. But remember, it's a slippery slope, Kinsey, because if they get that RASP level of security, that's one step further to two things happening. The second is maybe even getting IPP status, and that is getting security, which can obviously be with them overseas, and then everything, the whole bill's picked up for
Yeah.
by the British government.
Ugh.
The second side of it is that if he gets security, that he, even if he offers to pay for it, that opens up a whole gamut of problems with other foreign dignitaries and foreign royal families coming into the UK and saying, well, we're coming into the UK, we'll pay for his
Yeah.
security as well. And
Yeah.
we're just not set up in that way.
Yeah, exactly. When I read this article, I immediately thought about the hissy fit Harry had giving that interview to the BBC. It was horrible. He's like, I don't know how much longer my father has to live. Again, I know I've used the word manipulative a couple of times,
Mhm.
but how else would you describe that? It's unreal. When he tells the BBC that he doesn't believe it's safe to bring his wife and children to Britain, has he boxed himself into a corner here? Because if they don't, they're not going to have the security they've requested. Will he be accused of being a hypocrite for bringing them? I mean, and will he be destroyed if he doesn't bring them? Because there's been so much hype built around this trip.
The question is there though? Is there that much hype around this trip? They're creating the hype.
Yes.
As to them coming over and everyone being hyped up for their arrival, nobody really cares. Nobody, certainly within my circles. But I think in terms of them hyping it up and their theatrics behind, we haven't got the security, so we don't know whether we can bring the kids. You know, to be honest, I think King Charles probably doesn't really care, nor does Princess Catherine or Prince William care whether Meghan comes over. Yes, it would be nice to see the kids, but you know what? It's Harry that is using this security question or this security coverage as extortion against the king, and the king is not going to take that well. I don't think he's going to respond favorably to it. And if he really does want to see the kids, I'm sure King Charles could possibly get on his plane and fly over to the United States and see them there.
Right. Or Zoom. I see you
Or
every
Zoom.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We are hearing that the king has reportedly offered accommodation at a royal residence, and I've
Mhm.
heard that before, like in years past, that the king has offered Harry a place to stay and Harry's denied it. So I'm not too surprised by this. I think there's additional outrage because Meghan's in the loop, and people don't want her to fall back into a princess moment where she feels like she's back in the fold because she's under a royal roof. Um,
Mhm.
but from a security standpoint, does staying inside a royal estate significantly reduce risk? I mean, I think that's how can you
Yeah, it's
complain about
massively.
security when you've got armed guards outside
Yeah,
Buckingham
yeah. I mean,
Palace?
they're going to be perfectly safe if they're on a royal estate, and that's when he will have the full complement of all the royalty protection that he could ever wish for. But again, it's on the royal estate, so, and the royal estates are big enough that they don't have to be in close proximity to Princess Catherine and Prince William. They don't have to be in proximity necessarily to the King or Queen. They could be tucked away, probably near Andrew or someone, but they'll be tucked away. But they will have very, very good security. Now, what will be telling, and let's watch for this one, Kinsey, is whether they accept that invitation, whether it be Harry coming on his own or with Meghan and the kids, whether they accept that or whether they check themselves into one of the glitzy
Soho
five-star
House.
hotels. Yeah, Soho House or one of the glitzy hotels in Mayfair in central London. Now, if they check into any of those hotels, that tells us everything, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I mean, in the past, I've heard that he's turned it down because he didn't feel like he had the privacy there. And I'm like,
Ah.
what kind of privacy do you need if you're there for a week? I mean, let's just flash back to one of his last trips to London where he's caught on a Ring door cam randomly knocking on strangers' doors trying to find an old friend. How
Yeah.
serious is the
Hmm.
threat level that I mean for Harry to feel comfortable to do that, is he seeking security that exceeds what is justified by the current intelligence?
Yeah, I think, the timing of this trip is, I wouldn't say it's coincidence. I would say that it was very deliberate, and and certainly if you consider that our national threat level moved up a tier, only about a month or so ago, that would have, he believed, I believe, he would have believed that he had, that necessitated obviously a heightened level of security for him. Because again, being a member of the royal family, and then the heightened terrorist threat level in the UK might mean, oh, yes, I definitely need to have RASP. And this is why I admire RAVEC so much, because they've taken all of that into context and they've still said no.
Well, help explain it to me a little bit because I would have assumed that if Harry gave them 28 days notice and said, I am bringing my wife and children, here's our itinerary. My children have never been revealed. This might create a frenzy around exposing their faces, that RAVEC would say, oh, that's interesting. Well, yeah, okay, we're going to give you the armed security you want waiting for you at the airport the second you land that will shadow you throughout your trip. It's my understanding that that's what he wants. But
Yeah.
it's my understanding that that's also been rejected. But I also heard that he did not give RAVEC 28 days notice of the addition of Meghan and the children. And I think he would do that to try to control the story, to make sure that it didn't leak to somebody else that Meghan and the kids were coming. So hearing all of these details or rumors, what is your take on that?
All right, again, speculation on my part, Kinsey, but having seen these kind of games played before, my speculation would be that the original 28 days would have been Harry, Meghan, and the kids.
Mhm.
Uh, they then got confirmation by RAVEC they would not have heightened levels of security. Harry then reverted to, well, I'll just come back to see the family. Meghan and the kids will remain behind. They then start making preparations, as does the UK and the Home Office. And then he drops the bomb of Meghan and the kids are now coming with minimal notice. So where everything had been put into place by RAVEC on the basis that, yeah, you're not going to have that security, you've now decided you're going to come on your own, they would have provided the facilitation for that. Now to drop in, Meghan and the kids are coming at the last minute. That sort of puts the Metropolitan Police and Royalty and Specialist Protection into a little bit of a spin. But I'm really pleased that they've stood fast and said, no, it's not going to change anything. If you want to bring the wife and you want to bring the kids, then by all means do, but that ain't going to change anything. Then we would have already set up for you.
What do you say to the people that go, he didn't want to be born a prince. He can't help that he was born a prince, and it reflects negatively on us if something happens to him on UK soil. How do you respond to that? I mean, I think I would say there's protocol, and why are we going to break the rules for this guy? But
No, we
how
can't.
you would explain it better than I could.
I doubt that, but I'll try. I'll give it my best crack. Um, Firstly, he was born a prince. Well, hey, we're all born to be who we turn out to be. So
Right.
we
And like
definitely
that
got to
sounds
work with
amazing,
that.
jerk. It sounds amazing to be born a prince.
I know, without financial worry in the world. What a joy! What a joy! So yeah, I mean, there's that whole business of him. Yes, something embarrassing happening in the United Kingdom. Yeah, of course, but that's why the level of security that will be afforded to him will mitigate against those kinds of risks, and his own personal security team will work with the Metropolitan Police to ensure that he gets that. What he's not getting is, the jewel of the crown, which is, excuse the pun, of basically the whole RASP contingent, it all being paid for. He doesn't have to bring his personal security team or a very slimmed down version he could bring. So, it's him just leveraging it and saying, this could be, I wouldn't be that surprised if we see something going out about, if something was to happen to my wife and kids while I'm in the UK and I've got this slimmed down security, how devastating would that be? Him dropping that in through a source or through a close friend to the family who then drops that into the media. I wouldn't be that surprised. Those are the sort of silly games that he's playing right now. But he'll be absolutely fine. He'll come into the UK, he'll come, and whether he comes with Meghan or the kids is irrelevant. If they come as a whole package, they'll still be okay. They're
Yeah.
going to be, hopefully, they're going to be offered the safety and the sanctuary of staying on the royal estates. They're going to be provided with Metropolitan Police support. They're going to be given a security advisor. They've got their own personal security team. They're probably going to have more physical presence of security than even the King and Queen have, or Prince William and Princess Catherine when they go out and about. I mean, as many of the viewers will have seen, RASP is very low key in their approach, and that's what makes them some of the best in the world.
And we've discussed this before, but in case my audience didn't see it, it's my understanding that during one of his last trips, he was late everywhere he went because he didn't have the big presidential motorcade that Taylor Swift got when she was there. And so much of this, in my opinion, is about the optics and about just like feeling not as important because he doesn't have that same level that he used to have before he married, well, before he quit his job and left the country. It's my understanding that if he still even lived in the UK, there would be different expectations. But not only did he quit his job and is no longer a working royal, but he doesn't live in the UK. Perhaps that's why they were holding on to Frogmore Cottage the way that they were, because they wanted to be able to say to RAVEC, no, we have a home in the UK. We live there too. But it just seems like a lot of this could boil down to ego.
I think it is ego. I mean, I'm probably not as well placed as some of your fantastic royal correspondent guests that you have on, but I would ask them about punctuality in the royal family. And from what I've known, from the limited amount, and those guys will know far better than I will, the royal family are renowned for punctuality. They're always on time. He's moved to Hollywood time,
especially the Queen. Apparently, King Charles isn't as good as the Queen. Queen Elizabeth was, but that's what
Yeah.
I did see some. I heard some complaining about it at
Already.
Order of the Garter, that they were like, well, if it was the Queen Elizabeth, it would have been right on time.
But was he desperately late?
No.
No. I mean, he might have been nominally late, maybe, and one
he
could
was
forgive that.
there. They were probably
Yeah.
taking pictures or doing something official within Windsor Castle. Like he was there, but yeah, they are typically like they have to be, because so much depends on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the one thing that the royal family have to get right. I mean, it's the protocol, it's the pomp and ceremony, and it's all part of the big show that is the royal family that we love. But ultimately, I think the problem with Harry, I mean, the one thing King Charles and Queen Camilla wouldn't have had would have been being chased by the paparazzi, which obviously is a common problem for Harry and Meghan, as we know. There's this.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. So yeah, I mean, in terms of that punctuality, again, it's going to be interesting to see when he comes over, whether it be mob-handed with the family or on his own, how he conducts himself at the various events. And I'm really intrigued to know what events he's going to go to. I'm sure it's going to be all the box ticking sort of demographics that need to be ticked.
Well, get Harry playing with a sick or injured child. Check.
Yeah.
Harry having a balloon sword fight. Check. Yeah. I mean, we've discussed this, I'm sure, at length, but it's the redemption tour. They don't like him or his wife in the UK, and they're doing everything in their power to try to change public perception. And the only way, this is mean to say, Will, but the only way public perception is going to change is if he leaves his wife.
I think you're right. I honestly do believe you're right. Whether at this point down the line, him leaving his wife, the British public would be that forgiving of him and sympathetic to him, I don't know. I really think we're going to see another Meghan in Geneva type of situation at some of these events he's going to turn up to, where there'll probably be a handful of people and a tramp and a pigeon, standing there avidly interested in what he has to say. I don't think the general public just aren't going to turn out for them. I mean, that's my prediction, Kinsey.
Well, I did have one of my friends reach out to me, and they sent me a tweet from somebody. We look forward to seeing you at Chatham House, 10 Street, James Square, London, on Tuesday the 7th. Tea and coffee will be served. This is an Invictus event, allegedly.
Yeah.
And this same person that Invictus confirmed with bells on, we're looking forward to seeing you. They're Twitter is littered with horrible things written about the Princess of Wales, her mother, accusing her mother of being a drunk, um, and accusing Princess Beatrice and Prince William of having an affair. Prince William wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. Okay, and
No,
that's
absolutely.
that's totally irrelevant of them being cousins. But doesn't it, like, they have to allow they have to engage with terrible humans because they don't have a real deep fan base anymore. Somebody that
No.
harasses Princess Catherine on TikTok received a gift basket from Meghan Markle a few weeks ago with $300 worth of as never whatever
Wow.
product. I mean, so
Wow.
you're right. They don't have the same crowds, but it's like the crowds that they do attract are toxic, terrible
Yeah.
people. And their team should be doing better due diligence in ensuring that they're not allowing people in that are harassing the royal family. But sorry to get on my soapbox here, but if this is true and that they are harassing the Prince and Princess of Wales, it reflects very poorly on King Charles if he chooses to engage with these people. It almost gives them credibility, and they should have none. They have been terrible to this family over the last 6 years.
I'm going to give you my take on this.
I love it.
I,
Do it.
I don't think those are genuine comments. I don't think they're genuine people behind them. I think this is smacks of a Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds type of negative impacting PR.
Oh, so
My
like
gut,
an online, a digital
it's a
campaign.
deliberate trolling campaign, and I've seen them before, Kinsey. I've seen where people have manipulated and used automation to create an optic around an individual, whether it be to cancel them, whether it be to defame them in some capacity or another, albeit prefixed with allegedly. Um, I wouldn't discount, and I know this sounds pretty harsh, but I wouldn't discount that there was a considered campaign and strategy behind all those negative trollings on Princess Catherine and Prince William. They are so inert. They're so not controversial. They haven't done anything that potentially invites it. And that's why I'm
You say
highly
that, but
suspicious.
Harry and Meghan accused them of racism. Harry said, my brother physically assaulted me and broke the dog bowl. They told Omid Scobie, who writes an Endgame, that Catherine and the king are the racists. Like, I know you're right, and I've been around
Mm.
them. They're incredibly
Yeah.
pleasant people. I adore them.
Mm.
They are not controversial.
No.
They're seen in church every weekend. Like, they're great parents. They're sweet people. But Harry and Meghan have poisoned their very weird fan base's opinion of them. And I agree that there can be, actually, the Telegraph, I think, wrote an article about Meghan hiring Russian bots to promote her with positive tweets
Yeah. Well,
years
there you
ago.
go. There
Yeah.
you go. So yeah,
But
she's got the
that doesn't
connectivity.
negate the TikToker who we see
Yeah.
harassing Catherine on TikTok receiving a gift basket from Meghan.
Yeah, I mean that's astounding, which again goes to the thing that we were talking about last time, Kinsey, about who is controlling their communications, who's controlling their PR. It can only be Meghan, because who's going to do such a hideous home goal of actually rewarding someone who's being rude to a member of your supposed family? So ultimately, it's so stupid, it's so ill thought out. And again, if I was within the royal household, I would be doing a very deep cyber dive on all those identities on Twitter that were making the negative comments.
Mm.
And I'd actually
Would you
put
send a
money on it,
report? Would you
Kinsey.
send a report to Harry and Meghan's team and say they're saying that they are
Well,
going
saying
to attend?
busted.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to attend an event with Prince Harry. Like, what? Why are you not doing your due diligence and sussing these people out?
I know. No. I think we may be misunderstanding each
No,
other.
I
I
think
think
you're. I
Megan.
think you
I
still
think
think they're trolls. I think that they might be
Yeah.
real
No. I think
people.
Megan's behind it. I think these are bots. I think these are
Oh,
bots. I think these are
yeah.
bots that have been that Megan has been instrumental in engaging to do this negative commentary on Princess Catherine and Prince William.
Yeah.
Allegedly, I prefix this.
Yeah.
But if I was working for William and Princess Catherine, I'd be I'd be doing the deep dive on their behalf and going, you know what? I can see all the identities of who these people are, and they're not verifiable individuals. They
Mm.
are automations.
Well,
And then ultimately disclose that to the press and go busted for
well,
Harry and Meghan.
and
Because that's the
Harry
only
and Meghan
reasoning I potentially got.
Harry and Meghan tried to do the same thing with this guy who has literally no authority in the space. They just found somebody willing to say what they needed said, which was that Meghan was being harassed online. And then the press ran with it without really questioning this
Yeah,
guy who, if you look at his feed, he tears into the really nasty commentary about the Prince of Princess of Wales, about their looks, how he's aged like a cucumber or something. I don't know. But it's just like, I don't think that they would pursue that because Harry and Meghan have already tried to go down the victimhood. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we adore them. Never complain, never explain. They don't try to live in the victimhood mentality. Like they just continue that they could whine about Catherine's illness till the cows come home. They don't
yeah,
talk about it.
no,
Occasionally she makes a stop at a cancer center and we're reminded that she was ill in 2024, but for the most part they focus on the future, and that is why we truly adore them. Before, I want to thank Wales Rain for sending me that information. Thank you for sending
yeah,
me those tweets. But before I let you go, I do want you to make a
yeah.
prediction. Do you
Go
think
on.
Meghan and the children will actually make this trip, or do you think Carrie's own public position on security makes that increasingly unlikely?
I'll tell you what, I'll bet you dinner when you come over that they won't come.
Really? I actually still think they will come because, well, I don't know. I've always said I'll believe it when I see it,
And we could do a
but
Happy Meal. Doesn't have to be a posh dinner.
I love Happy Meals. But you get a toy. But I've always said I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not sure it's going to happen. But this increasing
They
desperation really surprises me.
they lose their entire argument. The only leverage they've got left is I can't bring my wife and children to the UK because it's not safe enough for them with the security that we have. We need to have this heightened level. If they bring them the only reason they would bring them, Kinsey, would be if they've just given up the ghost on trying to appeal for security. I mean, he's already spent a fortune in the courts
Mhm.
litigating this. But I think if they're still holding on, and I think Meghan will be the one that's pulling the strings on this. If they're still holding on, Meghan will pull the strings and say, no, no, we won't come for now. We want to make a statement by not coming.
I can tell you, it's my understanding that Meghan is developing a new product or project that she's going to announce within the next 6 months. I don't know what it is. It's killing me. I'm
I'm so
trying to figure
excited.
it out. Well, it's like I mean, it's killing me because I only have half of the story, but I don't care what it is. Everything she touches turns to cow poop. So like like it's not like we should be excited because it's something that is going to be genuinely amazing. Literally everything she touches disintegrates. So, but it's killing me that I only have half of the story and can't share the whole story. But it's my understanding that they need this trip to try to change public perception, to get out of the victim category, because she
Hmm.
wants a business to take off and to be successful because nothing has so far. And so
No.
she keeps, like what did one of my Sally Bedell Smith, who I love, I hope she doesn't mind me repeating this, but I told her this quietly and she said, of course she's launching a new venture like a shark. She needs to keep moving. And I was like, what a great description of her. So that's what I mean by desperation. I think you're right. They lose all credibility when it comes to their argument about security. If they come over and everything is hunky dory and fine, and Harry
Mm.
takes the kids to Diana's grave and they get that, that sympathetic moment that they can share with the world, which is kind of vile.
Yeah.
But I think that they are tired of failing and they need to change their image in this because
Yeah.
they think
I
this is a way to, but they're just going to be booed.
no, I think the best thing they could do, I mean, if I was their advisor, I'd be saying, come over regardless. You can say, you know what, we understand. We can't. we're not due any security other than what we've got.
Yeah.
But we really want to come back. We want to make amends with not only the royal family, but we want to make amends with the general public. And we're prepared to take this risk to battle the gauntlet, to come back to dangerous the UK, to do these things and achieve these accomplishments. And I think that would appeal to the general public more because they'd be more human. The sad thing about it is they're not very human.
Mm. Mm. Oh, that's a mic drop. I'm sorry I kept you for so long, but I had fun.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.
I had fun, Will Geddes. And so I'm going to make you commit to me on camera that you'll see me within the next few days, next week, and maybe we can go
I'll
over.
hunt you down if you don't, Kinsey.
We'll go over what we've seen so far. If it's just Harry, how Harry's team's doing, what you're recognizing, if you see anything specific, and we might have to eat our words. We did come out with different. One of us is right, which is exciting. One of us is right. The odds are good.
There's a happy meal resting on this, Kinsey. Don't forget that.
I hope the toys are good. All right. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Will, I'll see you again very soon. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I very much appreciate your opinion. And we've got some online bots to go investigate now, guys. Let's go investigate the bots. Bye.